Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with a daily technical update. It is Friday the 3rd of May and we had Apple announcing earnings last night, share buyback, and in the aftermarket it was trading around 184, which is up here. Let's see where it opens. Interesting thing is that we have all the moving averages, the 100 daily, the 200 daily actually crossed over each other, so we actually have a death cross here. We have the 55 down here, so we are actually in a bearish trend and sentiment across the board. But it's going to be interesting where we will end tonight. If it does collapse, well then it will really be heavy on Apple going forward. So keep an eye on that. S&P 500 lifted a little bit yesterday. We are still in this range between 5,146, 4,953. Those are the levels to it needs to break out of for any direction. Here on Nasdaq, more or less same picture, 16,963. We are below the cloud, so we are technically in a bearish mode and bearish sentiment. But if it can get back above 17,808, and especially above 18,000, well, then we are back in business with a bullish trend and likely to cancel these top and reversal patterns there. EuroStoxx 50 closed bang on the key support at 4,888 last night. We are a little bit above this morning. We are still in a positive sentiment on the RSI, but there's divergence indicating we should see a correction, and this bearish engulfing top reversal is still in play, but we need a close below 48.88 for that to play out. DAX index also a little bit higher today, but still caught in this range between 18,210-ish and 7,620. So that's the range to look out for. On the Amsterdam, once again this morning, it is actually trying as we speak to move back above 883. That is the key level. It needs to close above for an uptrend. I mean, we had this like gravestone doji like candle here, so today could also be interesting. What will it do, and will RSI move back above 60 threshold or not? If it can close above the 60 threshold, well then I think we are in for a push towards a 900. CAC 40, 7,875, still key support to keep an eye on. Swiss market looks like it is the heavy one. We are in a bearish trend. We are below the cloud. We are below 100 on 55 moving average. Still heavy. Needs to get back above 11,380 at least for have any kind of upside potential, and even that will be a struggle, so I wouldn't put too much weight on, because we see it actually jumped above here and then got hammered down back again. I lean to the side where we'll see a sell-off down to around 11,000, a level down here in the coming days and weeks. Moving on to the FX markets, euro dollar still in this range here between 106.65, 107.50, 55. I want to see a breakout from this range before I will say anything about the direction. However, we are in a negative sentiment on the RSI. We do have the 100 moving average and 200 moving average and the 55 moving average coming down here. So kind of putting a lid on it. So the underlying sentiment is actually bearish, but that doesn't mean we can't break higher in a move up to around 108, maybe a little bit higher, before selling pressure is likely to resume. Because if we look at the weekly chart, we can see how it is. If it will update here, we are below this rising trend line here, so we are a little bit under pressure. But you can also see that the 100 weekly moving average giving some support just around the 106.30, 25.30 level. If we are moving on to cable, sterling dollar, also more or less the same picture. The 200 moving average giving some resistance around the 61.8 retracement. I want to see a break above 125.70 before a push to 786 retracement at 126.22, where we then have the 55 and the 100 moving average coming down, also giving it a hard time moving higher. We also have the RSI still in negative sentiment, hasn't broken back above 60, and there's no divergence indicating cable should resume downtrend, but I wouldn't be sure until I see it below 124.49. The yen pairs, a little bit frustrating at the moment, extremely volatile, and especially after this past week or so where we're extremely volatile. Twice it has been very close to the 786 retracement here at 152.83, and this morning it is actually testing it. We still have positive sentiment on the RSI, so it does tell me from a technical point of view, and indicators are telling me that we can still see higher levels on dollar yen, but at the moment there are really some weakness here, and there's no RSI divergence indicating we could see that. But I want to see RSI back above 60 before I start calling it. And at the moment, the sellers are actually a bit in control. We could still dip down to the 55 moving average and the 618 retracement of the entire uptrend. This was the 786 retracement of only this uptrend, but the entire uptrend here at 151.75, and we could still have this technical picture intact. So let's keep an eye on this the next couple of days. If it starts moving back above 155, I think it will be a signal for uptrend resuming. Euro yen, more or less the same picture, trading around the 786 retracement, as we can see here at 164.29, dipping it below a little bit, close to the lower rising trend line. Still positive sentiment on the RSI, so we should see buyers coming in. But again, there's no certainties in the market here, and technical analysis is not about certainties, it's about possibilities really. We have the Aussie yen also at it's 61.8 retracement. It could still dip down to the 786 retracement just below 199.32, but also here we have the RSI still in a positive sentiment with a potential to move higher. The sterling yen very close to the lower rising trend line, also trading around its 786 retracement of the last leg up, and 38.2 retracement. It is hidden in there, sorry about that, but it's kind of hovering around that level at the moment. So let's see where the end and the week and the day is ending for the yen pairs. That can be fairly crucial. It is not unlikely, again I'll say, we could dip down to the 190 level here, but I'm not quite sure we'll do that. But be careful with these yen trades at the moment. We have Aussie dollar trying once again to break this level here around 65.84, which is the 786 retracement, and the 100 moving average coming down. The RSI is still in a negative sentiment, can't really get back over 60, and that's what I want to see. I just want to see a close above, and I want to see a close above also on the RSI for further upside potential. Otherwise, I do believe that Aussie the dollar will slowly sliding lower again. Dollar Canada, that looked so promising here the other day on the last trading day of April, but it has been fizzling quite a bit since. However, the RSI is telling me we could still see a higher level in higher price levels in dollar Canada above this 138.50, and push up to 139, 139.28 is still in the cards as long as we stay above 136.18. I think we'll start seeing buyers coming in again. We also have all moving averages rising, so it is in the cards to do that, but keep an eye on the stops down here. Moving on to the Swiss francs. Can't really get above its previous peak, just below 98.50. Is it forming a double top pattern? We don't know that yet, but it really needs to push higher here for further upside potential. There is a little bit of divergence on the RSI, so maybe we should see a sell-off down to around 97-ish. So a little bit frustrating at the moment, so keep an eye on those levels. Dollar Swiss, Divergence on the RSI indicating we could see dollar Swiss dropping to the 90 level, key support, a break below that, then we could see further sell off. And finally, the dollar index closed yesterday below 105.27, minor support. It is not unlikely we could see it dip down to around 104.84 and the low rising trend line, maybe even dipping down to the 61.8 retracement at 104.67. But we are still in an uptrend, but it needs to take out the previous peaks up here at 106.38. Moving on to commodities, and as always we start with gold. Gold seems to hovering around the 2300 level. Can't really get its sell-off going, which I had expected, but we are still a little bit to the downside. I mean, we do have established a downtrend, lower low, lower high, lower low, but the RSI is still in a positive sentiment despite massive divergence. So it's pointing all over the place or in each direction. But I still think that we could see a correction down to 22.55, possibly dipping down to just above 2200. The overall picture is still bullish, but if we do break back above 23.52, 53, well then another push towards 2400 plus, 2450 even is in the cards. Silver has actually been a little bit more volatile, dipped below a couple of times the 2640, which is the 61.8. Could still see a sell-off down to the support around just above, just below 26, 25.58, where we have the 786 retracement of the entire uptrend right there. So it's not unlikely these, I mean, in FX market and commodity markets, 61.8 and 786 retracements are fairly common. So that is some Fibonacci levels to look out for when you're drawing your lines. Copper. Top and reversal pattern, 441 at the 38.2 retracement seems likely, but it is not likely we could dip a little bit lower because historically it's also been very volatile and it really had a good ride. The overall trend, medium to longer term, is still bullish, but a correction seems to be needed here. Let's move on to the energy market, where we had the WTI sell off the other day, now hovering around this rising trend line here. It's not the strongest one, it's more like a guideline to me. The strong one is this one down here. We also have the 100 moving average coming up. So we are in a negative sentiment on the RSI, so it's not likely we could test that and also test the lower part of the cloud. If we do close below the cloud, well, and also below all moving averages like the 100 here, well, then there's further downside potential. Brent crude oil, more or less the same picture, but it's also above the 100 moving average and key support at 81.42. That is really a key support. Let's have a quick look at cocoa. Everyone has been talking about cocoa. The bubble is totally collapsing. It's deflating now, and below the support here at 7,700, I think we could see it push down to this correction for, area here around 6,500, and maybe even below 6,000 in the coming week. And let's move on finally with the US 10-year Treasury yields. I still think we could see a little bit of a setback down to around 450, 447, where we have a little bit of a support and a low rising trend line. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and a nice weekend. Happy trading.